This is the last session of our user day, and we're very honored to have Matt Cutts here. Matt is a senior engineer at Google and the head of the web spam team, which doesn't spam, they keep the spam off, the search engine, yeah. And so more than almost anyone in the world, he has insights into ranking on Google and blogs and search engine optimization. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much. Hey, thank you. Awesome. Wow. You guys still have enough energy to be able to clap at the end of the day? Everybody still doing okay? Woo, excellent. All right. Well, give up one more round of applause for Matt and all the WordPress folks. Wow. It's been a good day, hasn't it? It's been a really good day. Okay. So I have no idea whether I'm like blindingly loud or you can barely hear me. I'm okay? All right. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that we have time for Q&A, and the best way to ensure that is you guys raise your hands if you have a question. I am the exact opposite of the last talk, okay, because Robert started out with PowerPoint and trimmed it down to 0 slides. I started out with 0 slides this morning, and I started writing and writing and writing over the course of the day. So I've got about 30. We'll see how many we get through. But in order to ensure participation, I've got some swag, some O'Reilly books. So this is how it works. The PowerPoint will be color-coded. So when you see something that's green or blue or a hyperlink, and if I don't mention it, raise your hand, let me know, because that's when I want to go show something on the web or give something away, something like that. First off, how many people know me? Has anybody heard of me? Okay, about half and half. So I work at Google, I work on web spam, I work on search quality. So I want to return high-quality results to users. So if you write high-quality blog posts, I want to return your blog posts to users hundreds of millions of times a day. Little misconception, some people think that Google hates sites. So I was at an SEO conference, and this is a spammer. I pixelated out his picture, you know. You notice anything different? I'm wearing the same shirt. I need to get at least one new t-shirt. Love my LA t-shirt. Okay. So some people think that Google hates their site, or they don't like their site, or they have a grudge against their site, or something like that. I want to show you an example of somebody that believes that. Have you guys seen this? This is alexchew.com. He has created an immortality device. No, seriously, immortality device. Live forever. Right? It's patented, so it must be true. We all know patents work. How does it work? Magnetic rings. You wear them on your hand. It clears out the chi. You live forever. Okay? So it's kind of interesting because he's got magnetic feet, stuff that you wear. Yeah, I know, it's kind of like 1992 called. They want their web design back, right? You know, it's like, dude. Woo! Old school. It's like GeoCities and MySpace had a love child. Okay, and it's pretty cool because he's got whatever this is, gorgeous pill or something, lets you live forever. And I got a little curious. I wanted to see how it works. The way it works is magnets. You know, you've got a wound, and then you break up the wound, and you live forever. So you might not be able to see this. The takeaway is weak magnets are lose. Okay? Weak magnets, bad. They lose. Weak magnets are lose. Okay. Now, why am I quoting this site? Why am I mentioning this site? This guy, it's like Monty Python saying, come see the violence inherent in the system, right? This guy claims he's being repressed by Google, right? Because of the immortality device, right? It's the immortality device. Google can't let you find out the truth. Whatever you know, Google won't broadcast to 400 people at alexchew.com and tell you to go check it out. Yeah, censorship, exactly. It's all the man keeping you down under their feet. Now, you know, so you can read all this stuff. It's pretty great. So don't let a big guy like Google cover your eyes and ears. Here I am promoting this site a little bit. Now, who here thinks that Google is suppressing this site because of the immortality device? Anyone? Oh yeah, all right. Sarcastic crowd. Okay. Well, I've let you in on a little secret now, haven't I? All right. Okay, here's the story. If you go down to the bottom of this page, do you see this text area right here? Yeah? Let's view the source on this page. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. So we body parts, we quickly get down to celebrities, right? You know, Chad Isaac, Misha Bilson, Wars Trilogy Eggs, Sonic Mega Drive downloads testify. Hundreds of words, hundreds, in this little tiny text area. It's about like 40 pixels by 20 pixels. So yes, this site does have a penalty in Google. It has the penalty for this, not because of the immortality device. So, yeah, I know. It sounds like such a good theory. You've got all these celebrities in here, all this sort of stuff, gods, devils. So in general, we want to return good sites. Oh, I thought I'd throw in, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. I've been enjoying hearing plugins and what people have been using. These are the plugins I use. Akismet, of course, is awesome, totally awesome. You guys might not know this one though. Math comment spam protection. Anyone? Yeah. Oh, okay. One person doesn't like it. Math is bad. Okay, fair enough. Google Analytics. I added my footer.php. FeedBurner. Anybody use FeedBurner? All right, cool. Very cool. Democracy. I use it for polls. This is kind of funny. Stefan is the guy that wrote SEO title, which swaps your name of your blog with your post title, and can also do a lot of other stuff. I like to install the minimal set of plugins, so I only edited my header.php and changed this code. I'll do my very best to get this PowerPoint put live up on my website or somewhere, so people don't have to scroll down notes or anything like that. But even switching the name of your blog with your post title can really help a lot with your traffic. And then I have a love-hate relationship with WordPress Cash. Anybody? WP Cache? It's like if Dig comes knocking, you really want it installed, but it's kind of a bear to uninstall and reinstall and all that sort of stuff. So Democracy, I like that because you can do polls. Which type of pet do you have? On my blog, a lot of people like to have Googlebot as a pet. That's strange. Math comment spam protection. It asks you what is the sum of 1 plus 8. Yeah. That stops a lot of people. It helps a lot. Oh, carry the 1. That's crazy talk. I don't understand this. Yeah, but you can also change 1 to the number 1 and letter 1 and stuff like that. Here's some plugins I'm thinking about installing. Things like Comment Karma and threaded comments. You can vote things up and down. Author highlights. You can highlight some stuff. And then these last ones are more making your site a little more readable and putting your URL structure in place the way you want it. Okay, so let's get to the meat of it. SEO tips. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge, but we'll see some organization later in the talk. I would actually say not to put your blog at the root of your domain. So if you go to my blog, mattcutts.com, or you go to my domain, mattcutts.com, it says, there's not much here, go to my blog. And my blog is at mattcutts.com/blog. You can also do blog dot, whatever your domain is. Now, how many people put their blog right on the root page? Quite a few people. Okay, now, if you were starting over again, I'll put this for you to consider because people will link to your root domain and people will link to your blog. So in some sense, you can get a little bit of extra page rank because people will do 2 links. They'll link to you and they'll link to your blog. In addition, you might want to leave some room for future expansion. So you might be able to want to have something besides a blog at some point. So it's not a big deal. I wouldn't go changing things around, but if you're just about to start a blog, consider it, Think about putting it on a subdomain or a subdirectory, something like that. I actually like to call my stuff blog because I intend to use WordPress, I love WordPress, but at some point you might switch. It's also nice when you unpack the latest WordPress because it doesn't overwrite your stuff, so you can move things over. Except.
When you search for a blog about it, or WordPress tips, or whatever it is, WordPress, it does work.
It's the man keeping you down.
So when you, for example, if I'm searching for WordPress themes, or I do a tag.
It's not working.
I know it's not working. I'm yelling. For WordPress themes, and you put a name, or you do a tag like your technocratic, what happens is everybody who used WordPress in their URL, and they're not talking about WordPress, comes into the search results and into the tag results. Stop it!
There you,
blog, use Spread, use anything. Stop using WordPress.
there you have it. Wise words, wise words. Okay, what do SEOs know, search engine optimizers know, that bloggers might not know? How many SEOs do we have in the audience? And I know all three of you, so go ahead and raise your hand. Oh, there's an extra one there. Okay, cool. I saw Jonah, I saw Stuart. Okay, keywords. How many of you are sort of just writing blog posts like, I'm going to talk about whatever I'm going to talk about, my iPhone, my cat, my fashion, whatever. That's okay, but it also helps to be thinking about the words that users are typing. So for example, LOL cats. Is it LOL cats or lol cats? Okay, it's lol cats. Sounds like it's a unanimous opinion. If you go to, say, Google and you type in keyword tool, you will get to a free tool that lets you type in lolcats, and this is the sort of stuff that will tell you for synonyms. People are also typing cat pictures, LOL. They're typing funny pics cats, funny pictures cats, and down here, a nice niche, LOL kittens. Right? Right? ICANN has cheeseburger or cheeseburgers over here, right? But who's tackling the kitten space? Right? So there's an opportunity for you. Think about the kinds of words that people are typing. Now, I don't want people to spam. The last thing I would ever want people to do is spam. But if you know people are going to type in words like funny, pictures, cat, cats, kitten, kittens, there are completely natural ways to work that into a post. So let me just show you one example here. Okay. You can't see it that much. It's a little bit of nitro. Let me make it bigger. Can you guys see that? Okay, so I have a post that I mostly talk about search and search engine optimization, but every so often I go off and I say, oh, I need to do a gadget post. I was trying to figure out how to change the default printer in Linux, and there were no good posts about it. So I said, okay, I'm going to own this niche. This is like mine. I'm going to write a post that just dominates the changing your default printer in Firefox category. So what did I do? Well, changing the default printer for Linux and Firefox. Up here in the URL I had change. In the title I said changing. It's not spamming, that's just like using a variant of the word. If you look down here, I make sure I use the word cups. I use Firefox or Mozilla, right? Because some people will use the word Mozilla instead of Firefox. I make sure that I've got, a little bit of a tip about how to set your environmental variable in bash versus TCSH, and I use words like setInd. Now, I am not targeting a very important niche at all. I don't even show any ads on my blog, so I don't care if I get any money. I don't get any money from it at all. But just using these words, these synonyms in a completely natural way, lets you be more well-rounded. And it makes you more likely that when a user comes to Google and they type in, my default printer is broken in Firefox, those words will be in your post. So it's more likely that you'll show up. Now use this knowledge only for good, never for evil. Okay? There are people who use such knowledge for evil, and that's where they get into trouble.
Maybe we should make that into a plugin that generates a list of tags based off the words you typed in.
I wouldn't go quite that far. Work it into your post in a natural way. Because people are going to be doing those searches, and if they see what looks like a ransom note down at the bottom with tons of keyword stuffing and variants and all that, they don't like it, they report it as spam, they hate it, stuff like that. So go ahead and put the work in to say, okay, I'm going to find the synonyms, I'm going to target this space, but I'm going to use the word iPhone and iPhones. Not just the singular, use the plural as well. Simple stuff like that. Question, yeah?
If you cultivate community, you get more of the synonyms through the comments.
Totally. There are a few commenters that are jerks, right? Like 1 or 2 out of 100 will just go on forever. But in general, your users will come in and they'll say, oh yeah, that's absolutely the case. Another way you can set your printer is blah, blah, blah. I love this. Let me go down to the bottom here. I did this post. Now you're starting to get a little closer to the edge. I wouldn't go that far on misspellings. Let your users leaving comments do that for you in a natural way. Because trust me, there will be people who don't know how to spell that well, and they're all like, whoa, Linux, that's too hard to spell, my head hurts. Okay, so I did this post in August 2006, and this sort of warms my heart. Here's a guy in May, so 8 months later saying, thank you, why is it so hard to figure out this stuff, right? That's completely white hat. You're just writing a tutorial. This guy's like going off on cupsd and cup's default printer and all that stuff. Just, he's an angry man. Right? Who the the heck names this stuff? The GIMP? What? This is a guy who should have waited for like maybe 1 or 2 more versions of Ubuntu, right? It's not quite ready for him yet. I wouldn't give my 95-year-old grandfather, an Ubuntu machine quite yet, but it's getting there. It's getting better. And it's getting better because of people blogging and writing and doing help tutorials like this. So that's a completely white hat thing to do. Okay. Use categories that are good keywords. One of the big reasons I started using WordPress instead of Blogger, because Newsletter, I worked for Google, people would have expected me to start on Blogger, is because WordPress supported categories. So I have categories that are like gadgets, hacks, how-to, weblog, blog. You could have one for WordPress. And if they make sense, use those categories. And then whenever you do your post, it'll just say categories, da-da-da-da. See, so that's a very clean, very simple way that's usable, but also helps your search engine optimization. It helps your ability to be found. So don't make your category cartoons if you're a porn site, right? Because that's where you hurt usability. That's where you go against what's helpful in Google. But there's perfectly logical ways where you can add 2 or 3 categories and still have it help. Question?
So what if I've already set up my site with URLs? Should I change it?
You're good. You're good. I'll get to you in just 1 second. No, he's jumping the gun. That's exactly right. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. This is the domain. All right. Everything after the slash is called a path. So people often ask me, should I use dashes, also known as hyphens? Should I use underscores? Should I use no spaces at all? What do you guys think? Dashes. Yeah, well, I just told you there. Now, the interesting thing is we used to treat underscores as if they were like word A underscore word B. We would glom that together, and we would index that as A underscore B. So if you just search for the word A, we wouldn't return your post. We're in the process of changing that. We might have already changed that. So dashes and underscores are almost exactly the same. But in general, dashes are nice because they make it easier. If there's no spaces at all, the search engine has to segment it. And Google can do that pretty well. We can break up words, but can every single search engine, Gigablast, Ask.com, Exalead, Turbo10, not every search engine will. So keep it simple, and the search engines will do better by you. Okay, so now someone had a question. What was your question here?
So I've set up my site already. Should I change all the URLs? Should I go back in and?
That's a great question. First, this is going to get a little weird, but David Klein, are you still in the audience? Okay. If you had a choice between the Samba Pocket Reference, Ajax Hacks, and Programming Firefox, which would be your favorite book?
Programming Firefox is the only one I've been able to understand.
Okay. I'm reserving that one for you. Okay, so now you get to pick. You want a Samba Pocket Reference or Ajax Hacks, which is tips and tools for creating responsive websites?
Well, the Ajax one wants to take it yourself.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so by volume, he's picking it by poundage as the better one. No, I would not rework your site. If you've already gone with no spaces, don't rechange every single one of your old posts and do a permanent or 301 redirect to the new post. It's not worth the hassle. But on new posts, go ahead and put dashes in there. And WordPress is great in that many of the default settings are already set up and configured so that it works well with search engines. Okay, so I basically already made this point here, the change default printer. Alt tags on your images. Use them. They're good accessibility. We've got a guy at Google who is blind, and he gets really angry when people abuse alt tags or don't fill in their alt tags. It just takes like 2 extra seconds per image, and it really makes a big difference because you can get a lot of stuff found in image search and video search. I made a series of about 10 or 15 videos just for fun. My wife was out of town for like 3 weeks last year, so I was like, all right, I'm going to make some videos and throw them up on Google Video. Yeah, when I have spare time is when I do these sort of experiments. And it's gotten, the total number of them has gotten 250,000 views, which is pretty cool. You know, it's like, it's just free traffic. Now, I don't make any money, so it doesn't really do me any good, but be thinking about these alternative technologies. Be thinking about image search, video search, stuff like that. Question, yeah?
Sometimes I'll do a full sentence for an alt tag, or create some additional context? Do we get penalized at a certain point?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Sometimes he does a full sentence. Will he get penalized? No, you won't get penalized. Now, if you do 500 words and it's like cheap Viagra online, mesothelioma, debt consolidation, mortgage payment loans, then you might run into some trouble. But in general, our scoring algorithms are smart enough that we sort of don't trust those after a while. After the first, say, 7 or 8 words, I wouldn't worry about it. Usually I go for an alt tag that's 3 or 4 words, maybe 5 words, but that's about it. Yeah, question? Oh, yeah, you are in the light. Yeah.
On the backing up, on the URL thing.
Yeah.
Does having like .php in the URL
Ooh,
cause a problem?
good question. Does having .php, .asp, .cfm, .htm, .html, does that make any difference whatsoever? It makes no difference whatsoever. Call it whatever you want. What's the only extension I would not recommend you use for your pages? It's like web design inside joke. .asp. Don't use. It's like the anti-Microsoft side and the. No. The extension I would not recommend is .exe. Yeah? If every single one of your web pages is a program, that could be a little weird. Yeah, I would avoid that. But in general, how long it takes to fetch your page, the extension, none of that stuff matters at all. Does Google give any bias for Apache versus Microsoft IIS? Nope, don't care.
What about question marks or hash marks?
Well, okay, what about question marks or hash marks? In general, Google takes a URL. If it sees a hash mark, it truncates at the hash mark. So if you have blah, 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 hash 3 and blah, 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 hash 4, those both get treated or canonicalized as the same URL. Question marks signify dynamic URLs, for the most part. And what that means is you're passing URL parameters into your web server. We treat dynamic URLs, for example, for PageRank, exactly the same as we do static URLs. In the old days, search engines used to say, okay, I'll crawl one hop from a static URL to a dynamic URL, something like that. And that was a cruddy way to do it, and that search engine isn't independent anymore. So we treat them just like any other URL. Now, the only advice I give is I would keep the number of parameters low, like 2 or 3. If you've got 15, then the odds are that you can have 2 parameters here and 2 parameters here and get a dupe very easily. So we tend not to crawl things with like lots and lots of parameters. And there was somebody who was patient over here and was going to ask you a question. Okay, so you're golden. Woo! All right. Okay, so sometimes I'm going to try a joke. I don't know if it'll work. Sometimes people say, should I do a video or should I do a podcast? My rule of thumb is ask yourself how handsome or how pretty you are. Okay? If you're not sure, there's a site called hotornot.com. Submit a picture of yourself. If you are a 7 or above, do a video. If you're a 6 or below, do a podcast. I normally stick to podcasts, I have to admit. All right. Okay, let's talk about usability for just a minute. I added this one. Make sure your site is crawlable. Now, if you're blogging on WordPress, you're pretty much guaranteed that your site is crawlable, and in a very nice way. Sites that are hierarchical, tree-like structure, things like archives, 2007, June, and then the posts, are perfect for search engines. So the default WordPress install is almost optimal in terms of crawlability. What you can do is if you're looking at something besides WordPress, install Netscape like 4.7 and look at your site. And if you can get to every page using this ancient version of Netscape or links, you should be completely fine. If you're using frame sets or all sorts of weird stuff, then you might want to take a second look at your stuff. Frame sets don't work well on iPhones, for example. So, yeah, question. British question.
British question. Just on that point, you mentioned about the hierarchical structure of WordPress 2007, etc. That creates duplicate content. Does that not end up in the supplementary index?
We've got a power user question about supplemental results. The short answer is supplemental results are determined mainly by PageRank. And so there's not much you can do about it other than get more links, but not to worry about them in general. WordPress does suffer a little bit from the ability to get to posts from like 3 or 4 different ways. And so I have a WordPress wish list at the end, and I should have added that one, or I'll try to add it in real time or something. It would be nice if you could say, okay, I only want to get access to this post from this particular URL structure. I think there are some plugins that let you do that too. I will have a little bit of tips later. Catch me if I don't say it. Okay, you really should check out your site on a cell phone or an iPhone, because more and more people are going to be looking at your site like this. I was looking at a site earlier today, and it's just like, crazy, boilerplate, ugly stuff before you get to the meat. And people just won't come back. Make sure that your post creation dates are easy to find. Okay. Did anybody see this little thing where Google did a post about Sicko, the movie? Anyone? The little thing? Yeah, I know. It was a bit of a mistake on our part, and we called our own foul, and we said this was our bad, and we apologized. But what did they do that was especially bad, in my opinion, is they didn't put the date of the post. So somebody had done a post on Friday, and she showed back up on like the day after on a weekend to sort of add an additional post, and you couldn't tell how quickly they were coming back to cycle through that conversation. You would not believe, the person previously said, people come to your site, they view it as content, they don't know you, they don't know anything about you. If you don't make it easy to find out when a post was created, that's going to hurt, because people want to know, is this information from like 4 years ago about how to change my default printer, or is this really recent? So you really want to try to make post creation dates easy to find. Question? Someone said, yep, Stephen?
So, if you put the date in your URL, you have a lot of slashes in there, is that going to affect the page rank or the crawlability?
Good question. So the question is, if you put the date in the URL, that'll add a lot more slashes. Does that affect Google or other search engines? It doesn't affect Google. Google doesn't really care that much about how deep your URLs are. PageRank flows completely independent of how many slashes there are. There's rumors that Yahoo or Microsoft might look at the depth of the directory. So what I do is I have the post name, and then I have the date right at the top of the post. So I don't put the date in the URL. I can see both sides though. Okay, I can take or leave this slide. Who wants to see this slide about how to move to a new web host? Oh, more people than I expected. I'll do it very quickly, and then we'll do your question. So this is moving to a new IP address. So suppose you have, my name is Matt Cutts, I'm at mattcutts.com. I want to move to a new web host, but keep my domain, mattcutts.com. This is optional. If this scares you, don't worry about it. DNS, whenever you look up, like Google, it maps it to an IP address. And that lasts for a certain period of time. Typically, a website will last for about a day. At Google, it will last for about 5 minutes. Anybody take a guess why we do the TTL of 5 minutes? So we can bring data centers in and out of the rotation, and we don't have to wait very long. But you probably have a DNS time to live of about a day. If your web host or your registrar lets you change that, you can change it to about 5 minutes, and then all your users will migrate in about 5 minutes or so. What you want to do is you want to bring both sites up so that if they go to the old IP address, they'll still see your site. If they go to the new IP address, they'll still see your site. Once your site is up at both locations, then you want to change your domain name settings to actually point to the new site. As soon as you see Googlebot or users coming to the new site, you're pretty much golden. You can throw away the old site, take down the old site at the old IP address. Question?
The other thing you might consider doing is do not archive.
I wouldn't actually recommend no archive for this case. There are various cache settings you can do, but probably this one's the safest, because every 500 fetches or so, we'll try to look at the new robots.txt and we'll try to do a new DNS. So usually for this case, that should be enough. There's a question. I'm giving you a lot of exercise. I apologize.
Sorry, I'm kind of going back to the phone, looking up a blog on a phone or iPhone.
Yeah.
What's better? Is it to have a separate site like /iPhone or WAP or whatever, or have your style sheet take care of it?
If it's at all possible, I would try to do it with the same style sheet. And Apple has a really good user interface document that says how you can give them a style sheet that's different. from regular browsers while still serving up the exact same document. So that's pretty handy. If you can, that's what I'd recommend. But you know, sometimes it gets to be a little too complex. Or sometimes you want to make an iPhone-specific site, something like that. Yep. Question. Who was?
Comment?
Yep.
For mobile browsers, I would just use Alex King's plugin WP Mobile. It's just painless, and it works. It works awesome on all the browsers, and you're done.
Yep. The benefits of having a good blog software platform, right? Absolutely. Okay. This one's also veto. I can do this slide or not. Do you guys want to see it or not? Oh, I need to see a few more hands. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I don't care. So. If you're moving to a new domain, so you're at mattcuts.com and you're going to go to myspiffyblog.com, so you're completely changing your domain name. The one line is use a permanent or 301 redirect. So permanent means this site has forever changed to this site. A 302 or temporary redirect means this site has gone over here, but just for a little while. Keep checking back at the original location. So that's the simple explanation. If you're an advanced user, here's what I'd recommend. Pick one subdirectory or one part of your site and do the 301 on that one subdirectory. It's a little harder with WordPress, but if you have a general website, it's not as bad to do. Do the 301 to the location on the new website, and if you see everything flow through, all the traffic's fine, just like it was before, then I would go ahead and just 301 permanently redirect the whole site. Whenever you create a brand new domain, sometimes it takes a little while before Google has enough trust in it. So if you're doing the 301 redirect and everything flows over just fine in terms of traffic, you'll be totally golden. If your traffic is like really low, take a little while and think about it, see if you can find any particular problems. So here's a couple things you can do. Number one, how do you link to your site? Suppose you want to link to www version of your site, maybe the non-www version of your site. A lot of people shoot themselves in the foot by linking maybe half their links with the www and half the links without the www. So you want to kind of standardize. You want to pick one way or the other and just go with that as much as you can. And then question, yes.
In the Webmaster tools, the ability to choose www versus not, would that fix that problem, or does it?
It helps.
Okay.
It helps. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Another question? Yep.
I've been hearing a lot about the difference between having www and not having it, but I don't understand what's the real difference. Isn't it the same website regardless?
It is, for you, the same website, but technically they can be different URLs that show up different content. So let me see if I can show an example of that. If I do a search for PHP calendar, I get, he's changed it. Okay. phpcalendar.net and like phpcalendar.net used to return entirely different stuff. So Google can't automatically assume they're the same, or else we'll break a few people's sites, essentially. For you, we'll give some advice in just a little bit. Now, one thing that I absolutely recommend is, even if you're doing this 301 redirect, if everything works for you just fine, Google provides a way to get all of the backlinks, or a very large fraction of the backlinks to your site. And then you can say, oh yeah, Bob was linking to me. I can ask him to link to my new site. So that helps as well. You're not relying on the search engines to handle these 301s directly. You're going to the source. You're going to the people who are linking to you because they want to, and you're saying, hey, my site changed. Go ahead and update your link and just link here instead. And if you can get enough people doing that, that also helps quite a bit with it.
Can I make a little point on the trackback thing?
Go for it.
The backlinks and standardizing.
Yeah.
Many people get the plugins and things that take the www off, and then you'll get the feeds, and you'll see something great. You'll click on the link in the feed, and it will come to a 404. That's the kind of standardization he's talking about. Mm-hmm. Can you address that just a little bit more so people get that? Because this is a daily wine of mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I can kind of show you on my site. Technically, mattcuts.com. Let's do it on my, see, this is my silly little site here. www.mattcuts.com and mattcuts.com and mattcuts.com without the slash and mattcutts.com with the slash, and mattcutts.com index.html, all of these can be completely different URLs. And your web server can return completely different content for them. And some web servers do. So we can't just assume that they're all the same. Even if we see like index.php, is that the same as mattcutts.com? Well, you don't really know. And so what I recommend is do a little audit of your site. Look at the backlinks, see what people are linking to. Look at your own links within your site. And there's a very simple way I'll show you to get that report from Google. And then say, am I doing something weird? Am I splitting where my links are going? Sometimes I link to index.html, sometimes I link to the root, sometimes I link to the root with a slash. And just try to standardize that. And that will help Google and all search engines sort of give you full credit in all the right places. Yeah, question?
Yeah, I just wondered, if you're going to make that distinction between www and not and so forth, couldn't you just do a checksum or something, and if they match, then assume they're the same? I mean, is that...
That's what we do, yeah. But the KISS rule, keep it simple for search engines, right? Search engines usually get that right, but sometimes they mess it up. So for example, suppose you've got some rotating code that shows, a different banner ad or, a different template over here or something like that. If we fetch the page and then fetch the www version and they're just slightly different, sometimes that can cause degenerate stuff. So it's better if you take care of it on your side so that there's no confusion whatsoever. Okay. So I'm going to plug some Google services, but these are ones that I actually really, really believe in and think everybody would benefit from. And you're more than welcome to use anybody else's. I just think these are pretty handy. The Webmaster Console. How many people use the Webmaster Console? Interesting. Okay. I thought it would be about half, and it's maybe just a little over half. FeedBurner, Google bought FeedBurner, and now you can get all sorts of extended stats for free. And in fact, they have a thing called My Brand, which lets you serve your feeds off of like feeds.mattcutts.com instead of feeds.feedburner.com. That's nice just because everything's under your control. If you ever want to change things, it's on your domain, not somebody else's domain. And I actually have an email, maybe 3 emails from Matt in my email inbox saying, hey, how are we going to handle these feeds that show up in search results? And Google's working on trying to make sure that we do a better job of processing those. But in the meantime, it's always a good idea to have the feeds completely under your control. So if you want to get rid of FeedBurner, you can always just leave it behind. Custom search engine, you can just do free site search. If anybody's using AdSense, are you guys using this section targeting? If you don't use this, AdSense will target to all the text on your page. And sometimes you'll get ads about blogs, blogging, blog software, WordPress. And if you're doing a blog post about that, that's great. But if you just take the meat of your post and add a comment at the beginning of the real content you write and a comment at the end, we'll target to just the content of your post. So sometimes those posts will get like a lot more targeted, a lot more focused, a lot more about what you're actually targeting and talking about, which means more clicks, more revenue for you. Yeah?
Can you have multiple sections like that on any given page?
Oh, good question. Can you add multiple sections? I don't know. I'll find out for you. And then, you can? Okay, I think you can. He's saying yes. I don't know if you can block sections. I'm not an AdSense guy, so I'll go bug them and find out more.
Matt.
Yeah.
If you change the FeedBurner over to the My Brand, does it break the old one?
No, it doesn't. As long as you use the FeedBurner plugin for WordPress, it all works really well. So and most feed readers, they handle those 302s and 301s just great, so I wouldn't worry about it. The question is, if you change from FeedBurner to your own domain, does that break things? I haven't seen it break anything. And Google Analytics is nice just because you can see, where people are coming from. So like this is some traffic to my site over the last month. I'm getting a few people. Whoa, I'm getting a lot of people. What happened? Did I get dug? Did I, get slashdotted, reddited? And you can click through and you can find out where your traffic's coming from, the queries that people are using. Are they coming from direct links? Are they coming from search engines? Are they coming from people that type in your URL? It's all free. It's all really nice. Give it a try. If you don't like it, take it off your page. And I want to spend just a couple minutes talking about the Webmaster Console because it's really, really handy. I think people that haven't heard of it before or haven't tried it will like it. It's at google.com/webmasters. There was a very large book publisher that used robots.txt to block themselves out completely. So they emailed us in a panic and they said, why did Google hate my site? You know, Google's the man keeping me down. And I'm like, check your robots.txt. You know, and if you use the Webmaster Console, you wouldn't have to send us this email. I once knew an SEO who claimed that he got $10,000 for diagnosing the problem that a site had, and it was because they had a robots.txt blocking themselves out from search engines. So this is just a very simple file that's powerful. It can tell you where you can and can't go on your site. This tool lets you test things out before you put it live. So you can't shoot yourself in the foot quite as easily. You can also report spam to us, and we give more weight to those spam reports. You can remove URLs, like suppose you work for a college and you accidentally left up the social security numbers of 30,000 people. I swear, this happens like once a month. You get a call, I really didn't mean for all the credit cards of all my customers of my pool cleaning service to show up on the web. Okay, well then why'd you leave it up on the web and link to it, you know? You don't even need to contact us. This is completely automated and runs 24/7. You can remove URLs. You can also do things like see backlinks, see crawl errors, stats. I'll show you some examples. So here's some backlinks for my site. These are external links, which are probably the ones you're interested in. You can also get internal. So you can see people are linking to my root page, they're linking to my blog. You can click through, you can see who's actually linking to your site, which is really handy, as we mentioned, if you ever move your site. David, question?
Thank you. I've heard rumors that putting Google Analytics, using it on your site, for some people is causing the crash in Google SERPs. Is that true, or is that just well?
Complete myth. Complete myth. Somebody asked me that at PubCon a couple years ago, which is a SEO conference, and I promised I would never use Google Analytics data in web spam. It would definitely never hurt you, but we would be very sensitive to even the perception of advertising on Google, using AdSense, not advertising on Google, not using AdSense, using analytics, not using analytics, causing problems. So, no, I think that's a complete myth. Installing analytics would definitely not lead to a crash.
Thank you.
Good question. You can also see crawl errors. On this page, I've got 35 links that are broken. If you look at these links, they're to uppercase blog, parentheses, %20. Now, these are not my links, because WordPress does good links, and I never make a mistake, right? I could never have a broken link. But if you see these, you can figure out, oh, maybe I can handle 404s differently. If I use 404s in a different way, I could get 35 links for free. So you could make your 404 handler just do a redirect to your root page, or something like that. It can be really handy to see, as Google's crawling, what sort of stats can you get? So this is also in the Webmaster Console. This is the number of pages that get crawled a day. This is the number of kilobytes that gets downloaded per day by Googlebot. What happened here? I have no idea. I don't know what happened here. But there's no way I would have known without running this, without running the Webmaster Console. So I know I need to go and check out what's going on. Maybe I added gzip encoding. I have no idea. This is how long it takes to download pages by Googlebot. So you can see I had a spike where it took me like 3 seconds per page for Googlebot to fetch my pages. So if your site is running really slowly, or if you're having problems, you can often spot them by using the Webmaster Console. And then just to close out the conversation we started out earlier, you can even tell Google whether you want to have www your domain or not www your domain, and indicate your preference. So it's just very handy. We view it as a two-way channel of communication. Alex Chu, that guy that had like 500,000 phrases on his page, we now have a message center where we can contact people and say, you have hidden text, or you have a penalty, or you have malware. Maybe you don't know you're hosting a spyware Trojan or something. So it's a really good thing to enroll in, completely free, won't hurt or help your rankings. Okay. Wow. Time flies. Do you think it's better to say, get traffic from Google by ranking high and then get noticed by the world, or get noticed by the world and then get traffic from Google? The second one. Samba Packet Reference Guide for you. Yeah. We want to be a reflection of the web. If there are important things on the web, we want to find them. But if you're trying to push yourself up into Google first so that people can find you, you're kind of working against the grain. You're going uphill. It's much, much easier to think about all the different ways you can get known in the world, and then Google will find out about you naturally. So this is just some brainstorming. There's a site that makes signs, like safety signs. They've got like tons of links for this. All they do is create a PDF. Anybody here develop for the iPhone? Huge opportunity. The people that are really kind of thinking ahead a little bit, there's going to be like 4 or 5 really important sites that host iPhone apps, iPhone app directories. And if you can get on the ground floor of that, well, you can get a lot of traffic, a lot of visitors. You guys have seen the LOL cat builder? Yeah? Lolcat? Lolcat, sorry. Some people like calling my grammar on. So this is great. You just sort of select a picture, you select some text, and visible chorus line. Alright? Now how much code does it take to make this? This guy is literally like, here's some pictures. He doesn't even come up with his own pictures. He waits people to submit their pictures. By the way, some people don't get that it's supposed to be pictures of cats. They're like, okay, here I go. I'm a lol Bob. No, you're supposed to be a little cat, not a little person. They add some fonts, and boom! These guys get like huge amounts of links, huge amounts of page rank. So creativity is a big theme. Lonely Girl 15, how much money does it take to make a video? If you're pretty, it doesn't take any money. You just set it up on yourself. If you're not pretty, you have to hire someone who's pretty, and now you've got Lonely Girl 15. The Million Pixel homepage, making a Mac versus PC parody. The Free Hugs campaign. How much money does that cost? A video camera. You go and you hug people. There's no money. Perez Hilton. I mean, you take pictures of celebrities, you scroll on them, you're done. Now, admittedly, there are costs. You have to, have people send you leads, stuff like that. There's all sorts of creative things. One guy sold his mustache on eBay. He called it the Captain. He said, buy the Captain on eBay. What happened? eBay suspended the auction. That's great for him, right? He's like, oh no, I'm rumbling with eBay. They're not going to let me sell my mustache. Now he's got a blog storm going on. So this sort of thing is generally called Linkbait. Some people call it Linkbait, saying, Linkbait. It's an ugly, bad thing. I think people should kind of embrace the idea that there are different ways to get attention. There are lots of ways to get attention. And many of them are completely white hat. You can do really neat things. One guy just said, okay, I'm going to make a video of people saying the word Google really fast. Google, 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 Google. Just like for 5 minutes. That's all he did. Got like 8 people to do it. Got like 500,000 views. There you go. Pick a word. Say it fast. Put it up on YouTube. You're done. This one's kind of neat. Okay, where's David? All right. Somebody pass programming Firefox back to him. Right. Got on podium. Can't move forward. Watch out for the speaker. Yeah, that's a good idea. Sorry about that. Anyone still have hearing? Anyone? No? Yes? Okay. What? Very good. Very good. Okay. How simple, how cheap can Linkbait be? Well, David is actually a guy that I'm sorry, I didn't remember your face, but I remembered your site. We met at a search conference a while ago. He's already got the idea behind Linkbait down. Look at what he was doing earlier today. This is live Linkbait. Linkbait on the web. Okay, so he's taking pictures of people like Matt. Writes down photomat.net. He wants to be a writer. You click on the picture. He's a writer. He's done this like for 15 things. He got me. Which one is yours? It might not be up yet. He's drawing as fast as he can. Okay, so I said I wanted to be a Photoshop plugin developer. He's like, okay, I don't know what a plugin developer, okay, I need a plug, developer, I don't know. Right? Creative. Yeah, it's a plugin surgeon. He's doing all sorts of stuff. Now, what did this guy do? He came with a camera, a pad of paper, and a marker. What is he doing that's really smart? Well, he's getting people to put their URL down. He's not just doing random stuff. Who can resist linking to their own, parody, right? So here's 30 people who automatically are like, look, He said, I wanted to be, the boss of the Yankees, and here I am. I'm the general manager of the Yankees, How long does this take to do? Not very long, because he's done it today, right? He's done like 8 today. So in many ways, it's just the creativity. There's other stuff you can do as well. You can do tutorials. You can do analysis. One guy did, who has better web spam performance, Gmail, Yahoo, or Hotmail? All he did was count how many spam emails he got in a week. Got a ton of links for it. All sorts of stuff. You can see what's going on TechMeme. You can live blog. Is anyone live blogging this? Okay, so instant way to get some free links. You're like, oh, the live blog coverage of WordCamp. I don't care as much for creating controversy. Some people, it's like their specialty. Like John Dvorak, he's like, yeah, I'll say what I want, respect my authority. People link to me because I say crazy things, right? Now, he's gone, right? He's left. Okay. I'm safe. Mention Robert Scoble, right? If you mention Robert Scoble, he does blog searches for Robert Scoble. Mention A-listers in general, he'll find you. There was one guy, and I'll recreate this poll. It's really creative. Jeremy Shoemaker did this. I'm going to give you 2 options. You have to vote for one of them. You have to vote for one of them. 2 options. So take your pick. Number 1, George Bush is a great president. Raise your hand if you agree. So you're all choosing the second option. Fine. The second option was George Bush is the greatest president. Oh! Creative, huh? This guy got like 120 comments in under an hour. His blog was like, I'm melting, I can't handle the pressure. He's a WordPress guy too as well. Controversy. Use this sparingly because, boy, you can give up some credibility as well. You can always do stuff like Big, 13 reasons why something sucks or rocks. It would be great if WordPress would do a little more keywords and not the post name. Don't do sponsored posts. If you get popular enough, people may try to hack you. Don't bother to even try to write this down. I'll try to put it live on my blog. If you want to, you can protect your WP admin directory and whitelist certain IP addresses, my home address, my work address, and then nobody else can get access to your WP admin. I did an April 1st joke where I pretended to get hacked, which was fun. I got a lot of traffic. Woo, look at that, Mac gets hacked, a lot of fun, got dug. Until the hackers were like, oh, he wants to get hacked, huh? Okay. A new version of WordPress comes out, I'm upgrading like that. So just putting this in place protected me from all this sort of stuff, even like zero-day attacks that people haven't published yet. If that ever happens, well, they can only do them from these 2 IP addresses. So a little bit of preventative stuff. So suggestions for WordPress, I'll skip over that. And then some more reading. This is Google's official Webmaster blog. This is my blog. I talk about search and Google and SEO and stuff like that. Stefan, I give you props. He's got a tag for blog optimization where he talks about WordPress specifically. And this horrible URL here is like the things to do right after you install WordPress. It's a good thing just to double check. Make sure you get all your ducks in a row. Okay, and that's the end of my something. Question? I will do my very best. I created this from scratch so that Google wouldn't have to worry about me having weird comments hidden about secret projects, so it should be okay to post. It might take me a few days, but I'll do my best.
First of all, your presentation is great. Second is Google News. I've noticed that blogs occasionally come up in Google News, but not consistently. Are they supposed to? Are they not supposed to? I noticed like AOL Fan House, for example, is a blogging, but it comes up all the time against other articles. Can you speak about that?
That's a really good question. What's the criteria for inclusion for Google News? In general, the criteria is that we want you to be like a real news outlet. A lot of the blogs that get in versus the blogs that don't get in my experience, it seems to be whether you're a single person or whether you're multiple people doing the blog. Because one of the things that Google News requires is that you have multiple editors or multiple contributors. So my blog will never make it into Google News because it's just me. If I added other people and played up the roster of other people who contributed, the odds would go much, much higher. So that's one factor to keep in mind if you want to shoot for that. Other questions, or do you guys want to just get some drinks and... Yep.
Is there any connection between domain registration information and SEO?
Is there any connection between domain registration and SEO? Well, Google does want to be able to trust your domain. If your domain is cheapmesotheliomaonline.biz or info, then we might be a little more suspicious. But you look what you want to ask a follow-up. It's interesting. Google is a domain registrar, but no domain registrar gets access to any other registrars who is info. So that's a common misconception. People think, oh, Google, is able to register domain names, therefore it knows the who is of everybody else automatically, and that's not the case. You still look like you want to ask another question. No? Okay, cool. Other follow-up questions? Yes?
It's not related to that one. For example, .info, I have WordCamp.info for the WordCamp report. Would that get rated lower because it's .info than, say, WordCamp.com?
There are valid .infos. For example, this is one of my office mates, Amit Singhal. He works on information retrieval. His domain name is singhal.info. In general, we try to avoid sweeping generalizations based on the TLD. That said, there's not a lot of good .infos. Okay, here's 3. Webmaster, are you Webmaster? Okay, well I know your domain name. But it does happen. So in general, you don't need to worry about that. If I were starting fresh, I'd probably go for .com. But right now we have nothing in our scoring like that as far as I know. Yeah.
Google Analytics about WordPress.com. If you have a blog.
Google Analytics on WordPress.com. Are we working on it? Well, not available. Not available at this time. But thank you for the feedback. I'll go back and ask about it.
FeedBurner there too. Is Google going to make it easier to report splogs, copyright violators? It's really a pain in the butt. It cannot be done digitally. It can be done by email. It has to be done in print by snail mail.
No.
I know there's a little link, but then I get an email back that says you have to send it.
Go to the Webmaster. Okay, so let's go to google.com. Okay, so Webmaster Tools and report spam in our index. Yeah, if you're doing the DMCA, you have to do that by snail mail right now. But if you see a splog, don't worry about the fact that it's copyright. Worry about the fact that it's spam. Because spam is my team, and I think we're relatively fast on off-topic stuff. We care about it, we want to kill it. So this is a better way to do it. It's really nice because this is not just a web form sitting out there that anybody can stuff thousands of times a day. This is an authenticated thing where you have a Google account. So you can build up trust over time, and we give those more weight. Of course, we do have to prioritize. So if somebody reports somebody that's like got no traffic whatsoever versus like a huge guy, we might look at the huge guy first. But this is a fantastic way to report spam. Okay, that's different. I think that's the DMCA or the trademark, stuff like that. This is the one I'd go with. Yeah. You can use AdSense, you can report spam that way, but I would, good. Oh, in the back, yeah. One more? Yeah. What I would try to do instead, the question was, there are sometimes multiple paths to a post. You can do $P equals 111, you can do the post name, you can have the archive, you can have all sorts of stuff. Rather than using no index and a follow, I personally would see if you can figure out a way to do the htaccess or the redirects so that you 301 redirected the aliases of the URL to the URL that you preferred. Yeah, it's certainly fine to use no index. That's a tag that says don't index this page and then follow, which means do follow this link. So don't index this page, do follow this link. That also, it works just fine though. Okay, some people are getting a little antsy. So anybody that wants to, one more, what do you think, Matt? One more? All right. We got time? Okay. Anyone that needs to leave, it's okay. I'm not going to have my feelings hurt.
Right, so I heard you say that when you index a blog, you look at the categories. My question is, do you look at anything else on a blog, like the taglines, the tags for the feeds, or is there some type of a meta tag keyword? What else do you look at?
We look at the entire content of the page. Now, one thing that we don't rely on quite as much is the meta description tag. Meta tags are not really seen by users that much, so we tend not to give them a lot of weight. But we do look at categories, sidebars, navigation, things on the side, all that stuff, the whole content of the page. So, all the tags, definitely. Yeah, if you look at my blog, I'll often have a broken wireless connection.
Do they have the same weight to the search engines?
It sort of depends. Like things that are in navigation or boilerplate, we might not count quite as much. But okay, my blog is trashed. But in general, we will count the entire content of your page, and pretty well. What I advise you to do is make sure you use the keywords in the content of your post, if that's really what you want to rank for. But that's a good question.
And that, do you have any resources for effective? You don't have to look at the line.
Okay, thanks.
Do you have
Third degree.
resources for effectively writing, posts that make sense to humans and to the Google search engine using those keywords, yada yada, so that you're not spamming, but you're still targeting and things like that.
No, I'm just kidding. I can't think of any offhand. Whenever I do my posts, I try to be mindful of keywords in the back of my mind, so I'll use slight variants and stuff like that. A lot of the good bloggers do that. If you read some of the A-listers, you'll notice they sort of vary their text a little. They use slightly different words just to sort of catch. And it never comes off as false or fake or anything like that. It's more when you see like 5 lines, 70 words all repeated, cheap vacation homes in Nevada, cheap vacation homes in Miami, cheap, like that. That's where it really starts to go overboard. But,
So, I've always heard that the page title is definitely the most important thing of the post or of the page. Would it then be important to write maybe an extra field into your WordPress blog so that you can set the page title to something different other than your blog post? Because if you have a post called the post title is "And He's Wrong Again," but the post is about George Bush, and maybe you don't even get to the word George Bush till the 3rd paragraph. Like I was told that the next thing that you look at is the first 200 characters of the post?
No, it's not a hard limit like that, but definitely if you can get the keywords, closer, more in the title, that helps a lot. You probably, journalists write in this reverse triangular style where they get the most important words in that first paragraph. And it sounds so great to do funky headlines, and he's wrong again, but when you try to find that post about how you think George Bush was wrong, you don't remember and he was wrong again.
Right.
So I would almost just go for something that's a little newspapery and say, looks like George Bush was wrong again, or something like that. Now, if you want to do Andy was wrong again, that's totally fine. Just use it in the first, sentence or two. So just don't bury your story in some sense, is my advice. Yeah.
Are we better or worse off altering the content we send for the Google bot? So like changing the title or
The question is, are we better off altering the content we send to Googlebot? No, you're not better off altering it. That's called cloaking, and that can get you kicked out of the index for a long, long time. Just write with users and search engines in mind. It's good practice because the users, they land on a page they really like, and Google does a pretty good job of indexing things and finding synonyms and all that stuff. If you only have the word car, we can still return it. Like the word automobile. Let me show you guys a quick tip. If you do ~help, we won't just search for help. Notice we're also bolding problems, FAQs, support. So Google knows about these synonyms underneath the hood. If you only have the word help and somebody searches for support, we might be able to still return your page. But it's better if you include the words directly. Then we don't have to do quite as much, guessing about whether your page might be good. But definitely don't do different things for users and search engines. That's advanced stuff, and we'll get you kicked out of the index for sure, if we find you. Yep.
You just mentioned basically exactly my question. You were talking about, you have keywords in the back of your head, right? So you're talking about synonyms too in your post. You have changes in the URL, but changing in the title or something like that. Or here you're saying, no, really, Google is smart enough to do this for you.
What?
So Google wants to return the best web results. Most webmasters are not as smart as you guys, right? They're just not. They're not as savvy. And so they just write whatever they're going to write. And so Google has to adapt to the way the web is. So that's why we have synonyms and all this stuff underneath the hood. Now, there's a huge difference between a football coach and a coach purse. And if we have to infer that difference, you know, football coach versus coach purse for coach, it's more likely we'll get it wrong. So if you give us some help, if you give us a little bit of a safety net, some margin for error by including these words, we can be a little more sure that it's really about those words. But we've been known to be able to rewrite queries like pictures of Bellagio to overhead view of Bellagio pool and stuff like that. So we'll keep trying to return great search results. It's just whatever help you can give us definitely gives us that head start. All the way back.
Well, are you willing to give us the clue to why Google
Woo! 42. No. You know, it's kind of interesting because I've gotten letters from black hat spammers, like really good black hat spammers. I got one in March that warmed my heart, and he essentially said, I can't make enough money sustainably, reliably enough at Black Hat, so reluctantly I'm switching to White Hat. And that was great. You know, he was like, I have to give up my 2.5 terabyte server with all the engrams I found on the web. And I was like, yeah, rock on, you know? So there are people who are going to try to cheat. We'll do our best to catch them. And please help us with spam reports if you see them as well. But that's what we want, is all the white hats. And so the best advice is not so much worry about the algorithm, but make great, compelling content and come up with some hook, right? The social engineering, the gimmick, the angle that's going to make your stuff go viral. The LOL lolcat builder, the, you know, whatever that's going to make people really send your link around. That is just to die for. Yep.
So on that last couple of questions ago about the title tag.
Yeah.
And he's wrong again. There is a plugin. I actually wrote it called SEO title tag that will allow you to use the custom field to put George Bush and say, and George Bush is wrong again instead. So, and it has mass edit happens. You can go to your own.
Okay, so if you want to get advanced, go talk to Stefan. He wrote this SEO title. It's like super duper advanced, so I just use this much code. But if you want to go for it, feel free. Good question. Okay, yeah, Matt.
Last question. Hey. So earlier in the blog monetization panel, people talk a lot about text ads were a good way to monetize your blog because they pay a lot. And I'm sure there's some designers here who have been approached by people saying, I'll pay you $500 a month if it's linked to the theme and things like that. What is your opinion?
Oh, an easy question to end up on. Okay, I'm glad you asked that. It's really interesting because I think it's very cool that WordPress even says, look, you can't have paper post on WordPress. You know, if you read the terms of service on WordPress.com, it even highlights that in blue, if I remember correctly. And you also get a treat if you read the terms of service very carefully. It's kind of cool. There's an Easter egg in there. So in general, if you want to sell links, make sure that they don't affect search engines. There are tons of ways to do that. You can do a link through a URL that redirects, and then robot.text that out. You can use JavaScript. You can use the nofollow tag. We don't care how you do it. But if you are selling links or selling page rank that directly affect search engines, then you're in some sense kind of polluting the pool, right? And it makes it harder for other people to be found for the words they're trying to show up for if you're selling those words to somebody else. So selling links, buying links is against our guidelines, and we do take action on that.
Thank you very much for coming up,
yeah.
man.
Okay, thanks.